Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something I learned the hard way. What you say to yourself every morning matters more than what anybody else says about you. The moment you open your eyes, you've been given another chance, another opportunity to push toward your destiny. But if your first words to yourself are filled with doubt, fear, or regret, you've already started the day behind. That's why I want to talk to you about 5 things you should be telling yourself every single morning. Your mindset shapes your reality. What you tell yourself sets the tone for your entire day. It's something I had to learn, not from reading books, but from getting knocked down and having to pick myself back up again and again. When you wake up in the morning, before the world gets a chance to speak to you, before your problems rush in and remind you of what didn't go right yesterday, you have the power to plant the first thought. That first thought, which you tell yourself in those first few minutes, has the power to define the next 24 hours. It's like setting a thermostat. You choose whether your day runs hot with positivity or cold with doubt and frustration. And I'm telling you from experience, if you leave that thermostat on autopilot, if you let the news and notifications or your past pain be the first voice you hear, then you're giving away control of your peace, your focus, and your drive. Every successful person I've ever met, every single one, has this habit. They start their morning by feeding their minds something strong. They don't wait for motivation. They don't depend on circumstances to decide if they're going to feel good or be productive. They declare it. They speak it. They program themselves. Just like a GPS system, when you get in the car and plug in a destination, the GPS doesn't ask where you were yesterday. It just locks in where you're going. That's exactly how you've got to treat your mind. And your words, they are the coordinates. If you wake up saying, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, this day's going to be hard, well, guess what? Your mind starts looking for proof. It filters everything through that lens, and suddenly you see everything as a problem. But if you say, I'm here, I'm grateful, I've got purpose, I'm ready to grow, your mind shifts to support that narrative. It looks for opportunities. It attracts strength. It becomes your ally instead of your enemy. I remember when I didn't have much, when I was sleeping in a car, hungry, lost, and didn't see a way forward. The only thing I had was my thoughts, and I had a choice. I could let those thoughts destroy me, or I could force myself, no matter how low I felt, to say something different. I used to say out loud, Steve, you gonna make it. Steve, God ain't done with you. Steve, today is one step closer. Some days I didn't even believe it fully, but I said it anyway. And over time, it started to change me. It didn't change the outside instantly, but it changed the inside. And that inner change, that's what created the life I live today. People see the success, the suits, the shows, but they don't see the inner battle I had to win every single morning to get here. And that battle still happens, even now. You never outgrow the need to direct your mind. Life will always throw noise, negativity, and distraction your way. But if you're consistent, if you discipline yourself to say the right things in the morning, you start to build momentum. You start to control how you respond to the world instead of letting the world control how you respond to yourself. You're not powerless. Your day doesn't control you. You control your day, starting with your words. Speak truth to yourself. Speak strength. Speak direction. Every morning, no exceptions. Your words carry weight, and your mind is listening. Train it like a muscle. Work it like a craft. What you feed it, it becomes. What you repeat, it believes. So say something worth believing. Say something that lifts you, something that drives you, something that honors the fight you're in and the goals you're reaching for. Because when you speak with intention, your life begins to follow suit. Positive self-talk is a weapon against doubt, fear, and negativity. It's not just a feel-good phrase or some motivational fluff. It's a real tool. one that separates people who push through life storms from those who get swept away by them. When the world tells you you're not enough, when you're surrounded by people who don't see your value, when life hits you with setbacks you didn't expect, it's your own voice that either lifts you or breaks you. And too many people lose the fight before the day even begins simply because they let negative self-talk run their mind. You have to understand how powerful your inner dialogue is. Your brain listens to your voice more than anyone else's. And when you repeat something over and over, your mind starts to accept it as truth, even if it started as a lie. That's why you've got to be careful and intentional with the words you use on yourself. If you constantly say you're not good enough, smart enough, strong enough, then your mind gets conditioned to believe those words and your actions will start to match that belief. That's how people get stuck, trapped in their own mental cage, built brick by brick with their own words. I know what it feels like to walk into a room and not feel like you belong. I know what it's like to start something new and be haunted by the voice in your head saying, you can't do this. I've heard that voice. We all have. But here's the difference. Some people believe it and some people answer it back. You've got to learn how to answer back. That voice of doubt, it doesn't come from truth. It comes from fear. And fear is a liar. Fear is loud, but it's not wise. It doesn't know your strength. It doesn't understand your vision, and it doesn't care about your growth. That's why positive self-talk is not optional. It's essential. It's how you remind yourself that you've already survived more than you thought you could. It's how you silence the noise and keep moving forward even when you're scared. It's how you speak victory before you see it. You see, negative thoughts are automatic, but positive thoughts take effort. That's just how the brain works. It's wired to detect threats and dangers, so it leans toward what's wrong instead of what's possible. But just like you train your body in a gym, you've got to train your mind to think higher thoughts. And that starts with self-talk. You can say, I'm not ready, or you can say, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm getting better every day. That is, one of those statements stops you. The other one fuels you. You can say, I always mess up, or you can say, I've made mistakes, but I'm committed to improving. Words matter. And the most important ones are the ones no one else hears. People look at successful folks and think they've got some special edge. But let me tell you what that edge really is. They talk to themselves differently. When things go wrong, they don't sink. They speak hope. They don't let failure become their identity. They say, this is temporary. I'm built for more. That's the edge. It's not about never being afraid or never falling down. It's about talking yourself through the fear, picking yourself up after the fall, and speaking life into your situation, even when it feels like everything's falling apart. That's how champions think. That's how progress is made, not just by talent or luck, but by the words you choose in the moments when doubt creeps in. You want to win today? Then learn how to talk to yourself like someone who believes in the vision you carry. Not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. Your voice should be your anchor, your compass, your source of strength. Because if you don't feed your mind with something positive, it'll feast on whatever garbage the world throws at it. You have the power to choose your attitude and intentions every single morning. That decision belongs to you and nobody else. No matter how rough yesterday was, no matter what circumstance you're walking through, when you wake up and open your eyes, you've been given something powerful, a clean slate. The world might try to rush in with its noise, pressure, and distractions, but before all of that, there's a quiet moment that belongs only to you. In that moment, you get to decide what kind of energy you're going to carry into the day. You can choose to wake up bitter, angry, and defeated, or you can choose to wake up with gratitude, drive, and a spirit that says, let's go again. That choice is everything. Your attitude is like the lens through which you view the world. If the lens is cloudy with negativity, then even good things will look dull. But if the lens is clear with purpose and positivity, even the struggles start to look like opportunities. People underestimate how powerful that simple choice is. To set an intention and own your mood before the world tries to shape it for you. It's easy to blame a bad day on other people. Maybe your boss was disrespectful. Maybe your kids were out of control. Maybe you got hit with a surprise bill that ruined your mood. But none of those things control your attitude, only you do. The problem is that most people let their emotions run on autopilot. They wake up, roll out of bed, and immediately fall into reaction mode. They check their phone, see some bad news or negativity online, and already their day is off track. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can start with intention. You can say, today, I choose to be focused. Today, I choose to be peaceful. Today, I choose to give my best. It might not make the hard things disappear, but it prepares you to face them with strength instead of stress. You see, intention is like armor. It doesn't stop the arrows from flying, but it keeps them from piercing through. When I was struggling early in my career, sleeping in my car, not knowing where my next meal was coming from, I had every reason to wake up with a negative attitude. Life wasn't fair, and the path looked impossible. But I learned something. Feeling sorry for myself didn't change my situation. Complaining didn't make money appear. Wishing things were easier didn't get me closer to my dream. What helped me move forward was the decision every morning to focus on what I could control. And what I could control was my mindset, my grind, and my belief that the hard times were temporary. That's the part people don't see. Everybody wants to break through, but not everybody's willing to do the work of choosing their mindset over and over again, even when it's hard. You have to take ownership of your attitude like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy affects your decisions, your relationships, your work, and your ability to stay consistent. A positive attitude doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you face reality with courage. And intention means you're not just drifting through the day, hoping things go well. You're showing up with purpose. You're deciding, this is how I will show up. This is how I will speak. This is how I will lead. And when you start stacking days like that, days where you chose your mindset, where you showed up strong, even when things weren't perfect, you start to see your life change. Not overnight, but undeniably, because consistency beats chaos. Discipline beats distraction. And it all starts with the decision you make before your feet even hit the floor in the morning. Success begins with belief. What you believe, you attract. It's not just a nice sounding phrase. It's a principle that governs how opportunities, energy, and people respond to you. Belief is like a magnet. When you truly believe in something, especially in yourself, you start to move differently. Your posture changes. Your tone shifts, your focus sharpens, and the world can feel it. The way you think sends a signal out to the universe, and that signal invites similar things back into your life. If you believe that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you have something to offer, then every step you take will start to align with that belief. And slowly but surely, your reality starts to catch up with your mindset. That's how belief works. It's the fuel that makes faith active and the foundation for every success story you've ever heard. Now, let me tell you something real. Nobody can give you belief. People can encourage you, motivate you, compliment you, but if you don't believe in yourself, none of that will stick. I've met so many talented people who never go anywhere in life because deep down, they don't believe they can. And I've seen people with half the talent, half the connections, but they believe in their dream so deeply they move mountains to get there. That belief gives them endurance. That belief keeps them going after failure. That belief makes them try again when the world says no. You've got to be your biggest believer, because you'll have days when you feel like nobody sees your worth. You'll have moments when nothing is working, when doors are closing and your progress feels invisible. In those moments, belief is your anchor. It reminds you of the vision, even when there's no evidence yet. And that right there, that's when the shift happens, because most people quit when they don't see results. But the people who believe, they keep pushing. They show up when it's hard. They bet on themselves even when they've lost before. You cannot attract what you don't believe you deserve. That's why it's so important to start your day with affirmations that lock you into who you really are, not who the world says you are. The world will try to label you, limit you, and remind you of every failure you've had. But belief breaks labels. Belief breaks limitations. When you say, I believe I have what it takes, you're not being arrogant. You're being aligned with your purpose, aligned with the gifts that were placed in you for a reason. You're stepping into the truth of your own potential. And you have to say it out loud, sometimes daily, until your spirit accepts it as fact. You may not be there yet, but belief lets you act like it's already on the way. It allows you to walk with expectation instead of fear, with conviction instead of hesitation. I remember when I wanted to be on television. That dream sounded crazy to a lot of people, especially with no connections, no money, no real clue how to get there. But I believed. I believed that if I kept showing up, if I kept working on my craft, if I kept saying yes to opportunities, something would break open. And that belief kept me going through years of struggle, through rejection, through being told no again and again. If I had waited to believe until things looked promising, I would have never made it. You don't wait for success to start believing. You believe, and that's what pulls success toward you. When you believe in yourself, you don't need constant validation. You don't need everything to be perfect. You operate with a sense of confidence that tells the world, I'm not backing down. Belief sharpens your decisions. It gives you vision. It makes you get up early, stay up late, push past pain, and show up for your dream like it's already real. That's not just thinking positive. That's living with power. Gratitude unlocks peace, focus, and emotional strength. It is one of the most powerful tools a person can carry into each day, and yet it's often the most overlooked. People tend to focus so much on what they don't have, what went wrong, or what's missing, that they completely miss the beauty of what's already in front of them. But when you start your day with gratitude, you shift your perspective. You stop chasing happiness and start recognizing it. Gratitude doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means you've learned to find value in the small things, in the progress you've made, in the lessons from your struggle. That kind of mindset gives you strength that can't be shaken by outside forces, because it's built on appreciation instead of lack. When you choose to be grateful, you're not ignoring the reality of challenges. You're choosing to center your attention on what lifts you instead of what weighs you down. There was a time when I had nothing, no house, no stability, not even a real plan, just dreams and a whole lot of uncertainty. And during that time, it would have been easy for me to feel sorry for myself, to focus on the people who had more than me, to dwell on what I thought I deserved but didn't have. But I found out something powerful during that season. Gratitude gave me peace in the chaos. Every time I focused on what I did have, even if it was just another day to try again, I felt lighter. I felt calmer. I felt more in control of myself, even if I couldn't control the circumstances. That's what people miss. They think gratitude is something you feel only when everything's going right. But real gratitude is a discipline. You've got to practice it, even when it doesn't come naturally, especially when it doesn't come naturally. Gratitude also sharpens your focus. When you're thankful for what's in your hands, you stop getting distracted by what's in someone else's. You stop scrolling through other people's highlight reels and start realizing you've got your own story to build. That's when you start to appreciate the little wins, the bills that got paid, even if they were tight, the people who love you, even if the circle is small, the progress you made, even if nobody noticed. When you start giving energy to those moments, your whole outlook changes. You're no longer working from a place of desperation. You're working from a place of abundance. And that changes the quality of your effort. It fuels your goals with appreciation instead of pressure. Gratitude builds emotional strength too. Life will knock you down. That's not a question, it's a guarantee. But gratitude becomes the cushion that helps you bounce back. Because when everything seems dark, gratitude reminds you that light still exists. When your plans fall apart, gratitude says there's still something here to grow from. And when you feel like quitting, gratitude helps you find purpose in the pain. Gives you resilience, gives you perspective. It keeps you from being consumed by bitterness or jealousy or self-pity. And when you walk into your day rooted in that kind of mindset, you carry a strength that's not easy to shake. You've got to talk to yourself in the morning and say, I'm grateful for another chance to get it right. You got to train your mind to see blessings where it used to see burdens. You've got to teach yourself to thank God, not just for the doors that opened, but also for the ones that didn't, because maybe those closed doors protected you from something you couldn't see. Gratitude is a daily choice, and the more you choose it, the more you start to feel calm in chaos, steady under stress, and strong in situations where you used to feel weak. Faith, discipline, and vision must be reinforced daily to stay on your path. You don't just wake up one day and arrive at your purpose without effort. It takes daily commitment to remind yourself who you are, where you're headed, and what you're made of. Faith is not just something you have in church on Sunday or when life feels good. Faith is a daily declaration. It's the voice that says, I believe this struggle has meaning, even when everything around you is telling you to give up. But faith alone doesn't do the job. You need discipline to back it up. You can believe in a dream all day long, but if you don't show up, if you don't grind, if you don't follow through when no one's watching, that dream becomes nothing more than a wish. Vision gives you the direction. Faith gives you the fuel, but discipline is what builds the road. Without all three working together every single day, the path gets blurry and the progress fades. Every morning, you have to wake up and realign yourself with that vision. You can't afford to be casual about it. Life is filled with distractions, disappointments, and detours. And if you're not careful, you'll start drifting. You'll find yourself busy but not productive, active but not advancing. That's what happens when you don't start your day with clarity. When you reinforce your vision each morning, you remind yourself what you're fighting for. You recalibrate your energy and your choices around that purpose. And when challenges show up, and they will, you're not as easily thrown off track because your mind is already anchored in direction. But discipline is what separates wishful thinking from real progress. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's doing the same thing day in and day out, even when the results aren't instant. It's getting up early to work on your goals when you'd rather sleep. It's saying no to things that feel good in the moment but cost you later. It's pushing through discomfort boredom, and doubt because you know that consistency is what brings long-term results. Discipline means you don't always move by how you feel, you move by what you decided. And if you wait to feel motivated every time you need to act, you'll waste years of your life waiting for a feeling that only comes after the action. Faith keeps your spirit alive when your reality looks empty. I've had times in my life where nothing seemed to be working, where all the doors were shut, and the only thing I had left was faith. And let me tell you, that was enough. Because when you still believe, even when there's no sign of the breakthrough, that belief attracts the opportunity. That belief keeps your energy up. That belief tells you keep going, even if the results don't show up yet. But you got to choose to feed that faith every day. If you let the world feed you fear, feed you doubt, feed you negativity, it will rob you of your faith. You've got to speak over yourself every day. You've got to pray, affirm, visualize, and act as if the promise is already unfolding. Vision gives your life order. It helps you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. If you don't know where you're going, anything can distract you, but when the vision is clear, the noise gets quieter. The options narrow down and your energy gets focused. You don't chase every opportunity, you chase the right ones. You don't compare your journey to someone else's, you honor your lane. Vision reminds you that this is not about speed, it's about direction. And direction requires daily reminders, daily disciplines, and daily faith that what you're building is worth the work.